Alright, before we begin, this is just kind of my story for my OCs, but it's mainly just that. I don't really know how to start this video, so yeah, that's the beginning. Let's begin. Hi, hello, this is my sketchbook tour for my OCs and kind of like the story that I've made up. You can look at the drawings while I talk about the story. So yeah, I really don't know how to start this, but anyway, the story is kind of how Rui, the main girl, brings back the dragons from the future timeline, or not the dragons, but the Dragon Balls from the future timeline, and how she's basically like the main villain's kid. And real quick, you are going to see some other sketches that I've done, and yeah, that's just kind of it. Okay, so the story again is the main girl named Rui, along with her brothers Haru and Baki, how they basically find their memories and such. So the main girl, Rui, is actually like Toa and Mita's child. She's very different from the other creations that Toa has made, but she lost her memories because of a fight that happened, and because of that fight she had the Dragon Balls in her heart and teleported to the future timeline. So if you don't remember the Dragon Ball Super manga, there's a part where I believe Trunks explains that the Pilaf gang basically messed around with the Dragon Balls and wished for themselves to be younger when Piccolo dies, and they become like little kids. That's funny. But when the wish is done and the Dragon Balls have turned into stone, the Dragon Balls come back. But the Dragon Balls have went into these things that I've made up called temples. The temples are kind of like a safe haven for the Dragon Balls. So it's mainly like that. Now, the inspiration for the story is like, yes, Dragon Ball, but also a lot of the Zelda games. You know, Ocarina of Time, Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess, Majora's Mask, and what else? I really don't remember the other game that I wanted to mention, but anyway, yeah. Since Rui is inspired by like a creation, she's involved with like a lot of demons and this other thing that I also made up called the interlopers. The interlopers are kind of like time breakers, inspired also by like Xenoverse as well. So another thing that I also want to mention is that Baki is also a Saiyan android. That, I know that doesn't make any sense, but originally he was like a pure-blooded Saiyan, but then I was like, I always saw that the concept for the androids is very interesting, so I decided to make him like a Saiyan android and an android. and he was the original Android 15 before the other Android 15. His story is also kind of inspired by the Super Android 13 movie. I don't know if people have watched it, but if you want to watch it, go and watch it because it's funny, and it's really cool. Well, so yeah, for his story, Super Android 13 to me is like canon, but it's not really mentioned. So, and also for Haru is inspired by the story of Dragon Ball Kakume whenever Vegeta goes to Universe 6 to see the Universe 6 Saiyans. And Haru, funny enough, is a Saiyan prince, even though he doesn't act like it. Mainly because, yeah, the three of them have lost their memories and they don't really remember anything that happened. Anything that had, like, happened in their lives. So, yeah, that's just kind of like the ideas that I have. And fun fact, Rui does have like 3 older siblings, and even though she does have older siblings, they're kind of a dick. They're kind of dicks to her. Okay, well, not necessarily dicks, but they're very much like under Toa's like control in a way. So another thing that I've also found like really interesting for her story is, for all of their stories, is that they're somewhat related to canon, but not really. I really didn't want to like make them canon because I don't really know if I can make them canon. But for Haru being a Saiyan prince, Rui being a creation of Toa, and Baki also being a Saiyan android is also somewhat the reason why their story was somewhat made. And another for like the characters is mainly because it's kind of difficult to explain, but as you can see, this girl Megami also has a crush on Rui, which is funny. But yeah, so real quick, I know I'm getting off topic, but how the story begins is that Rui wakes up in the future timeline, in like Trunks' future timeline, and thanks to Baki and Haru, she was able to get out of there, kinda. Yeah, I'm losing my head. Anyway, so another one of the OCs that I also have, her name is Dahlia, and she is also basically like Rui's shadow. I don't really know how to explain this correctly, but yeah. And also some other characters that Rui, Haru, and Baki also meet, their names are Nico, Ray, and Sparkle. Nico is honestly one of my more favorite characters because he's Hispanic. He's a kid that's Hispanic, but the sad thing is that he doesn't live for very long. He sadly ends his own life because he has like tuberculosis, like a sort of cancer in a way. And since it's the future timeline, he hasn't been able to get like good care for it. And oh yeah, anyway, enough of that ramble. This is another character's like story in a way. And yeah, and oh, this is Dahlia. She was basically a general for the demon realm. She was kind of cracked as fuck. I don't really know how to show off her powers though. And yeah, there's Rui again, but this is more like later on in the story, like when she's somewhat human. And oh yeah, here's some Yuri. And Gogeta, he looks wonky as fuck. And yeah, that's the Yuri. Megumi has a crush on Rui. And yeah, that's kind of it. And also another thing that I also have are doodles. This is the interloper. Rui again, but in the future timeline, when the androids were trying to find her. I made her hands pretty wonky. And oh, another thing is that this is when like she went to one of the temples that I had the idea for her, and it's kind of like based off of like a horror, and the interlopers are kind of like the people that are after her, that are watching over her. And this is Rui in the beginning. And this other cool drawing that I did, you want to, child, come now, join us. It's kind of the interlopers like forcing her to join their side. And these are the Namekian temple symbols. And yeah, that's kind of it. And yeah, that's my whole sketchbook tour. I hope you guys like it. The story is pretty wacky and weird, but that's how I like it. Anyway, subscribe and like the video or comment or something. Okay, bye!